Apollo's Chariot is a Bolliger and Mabilliard hypercoaster located at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and it was B&M's first hypercoaster. It might stand 170 feet tall, but it features a 210-foot first drop, classifying it as a hypercoaster. It is nearly 5,000 feet of track, reaches a top speed of 73 miles per hour, pulls 4.1 Gs, and has an out and back layout like most B&M hypers. As the first B&M hyper, Apollo's Chariot features a little bit of everything and shows what the hypercoaster model could become. This is our full-length, in-depth review of Apollo's Chariot and our comments about what you can expect when you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg to ride this coaster. Now, let's climb aboard the God of the Sun's Golden Chariot. Apollo's Chariot is located in the Festa Italia section of the park, and it is the first coaster you see when you pull into Busch Gardens Williamsburg's parking lots. It dominates the skyline and is a great visual as you make your way to the park entrance. When you enter the park, you take a left, making your way past Escape from Pompeii, a great highly themed shoot the chutes, and up and over a bridge into the main Festa Italia section plaza. You then take a left to enter the ride queue, which starts underneath a purple-colored tent-like structure displaying the ride logo. On less busy days, you make your way to the right and down some stairs into more covered queue sections, which goes underneath the lift hill and around to the ride station. And this entrance queue is nice because it is entirely covered as you make your way to the station and has a single rider line that runs parallel to the main standby queue. Once you reach the station, you see light big top tent theming, which looks really good. Apollo's Chariot's station may not have the same level of theming as Alpengeist or Verbolten's, but it does use the Italian festival theming well. Once in the station, you see one of Apollo's Chariot's 3 9-row 36-passenger trains. This train is primarily orange with some gold accents. There is also a great logo on the lead car. Once you have secured your clamshell restraint and cleared dispatch, you pull out of the station directly up the lift hill to start your ride. At the top of the lift hill, you enter into a short, old-school B&M pre-drop before plummeting down the 210-foot first drop sloped at 65 degrees. And this first drop is the first of 3 great, strong floater airtime moments on this coaster. You then go through a short section of straight track before rising into the first camelback airtime hill, which delivers some okay floater airtime. In the front rows, you experience the airtime more when climbing into the airtime hill, but less so coming off of it. That is where the rows towards the back of the train shine, as you feel some floater airtime coming off the hill. You then go through a shed before climbing into the second camelback airtime hill, which has a slight trim brake to slow the train down a little as it banks towards the left downwards as it starts rising into a decently large upward helix turnaround before diving back down into a banked right-hand turn up into the mid-course brake run. The mid-course brakes engage slightly, but not so much as it saps the train's momentum like the mid-course brakes on Alpengeist. You then dive off the mid-course brake run into the second great airtime moment on the coaster, as you get some strong floater airtime, especially in the back rows. You go over another airtime hill, which delivers some, but not a lot of floater airtime, before diving into some more short straight track, before climbing into a great rightward banking airtime hill, which delivers some good varied airtime. And this moment feels a little bit like the banked airtime hill on Candemonium at Hershey Park. You then whip towards the left up into another smaller airtime hill before diving into the third and final great airtime moment on the coaster, which delivers one last great moment of strong floater airtime before climbing into the final brake run. And this section also happens to be where your on-ride picture will be taken. Apollo's Chariot is all floater airtime and delivers a good ride. It has some standout moments, which makes it an all-around good ride. The airtime off the first drop, mid-course brake run, and that last dive before the final brakes are amazing. That rightward banking airtime hill during the return trip to the station adds some great variety, which is nice to see. While it was not as good as Candemonium's outward banking airtime hill, that moment still hit fairly well. The final standout moment is that climb up into the helix turnaround while sitting on the outer right side seats of the train. That moment pulls some good forces, especially towards the back of the train. Aside from the ride elements and forces, Apollo's Chariot is also really smooth. This coaster does not have a B&M rattle at all, which is a pleasant surprise for a ride built in 1999. Busch Gardens Williamsburg has done an amazing job maintaining this coaster. It might be just as smooth as Candemonium, which debuted in 2020, more than 20 years later. Apollo's Chariot was the first B&M Hyper we ever rode, and it still delivers a good ride so many years later. But it lacks some of the more forceful moments that one can find on newer B&M Hypers, like Nitro's intense upward helix or Candemonium's forceful overbanked hammerhead turnaround. And Apollo's Chariot's trims on the airtime hills can detract from the ride at times. Nonetheless, Apollo's Chariot is a great ride and provides the blueprint for what Bolliger and Mabillard Hypers would become. To get the most out of this coaster, we strongly recommend sitting towards the back of the train on the outer right side seats. The airtime hits just a little bit more, and the outer right side seats provide a little more of an intense ride experience. Overall, Apollo's Chariot is a great roller coaster and a great exhibition of what B&M could do with this hypercoaster. It has some decent floater airtime moments over those Camelback hills, some strong floater airtime off the first drop, off the mid-course brake run, and right before climbing into the final brake run, and some good variety with that outer banked airtime hill and relatively forceful climb up the helix turnaround. It is also one of the smoothest old school B&M roller coasters out there, and certainly a must ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. For a final score, we give Apollo's Chariot an 8 out of 10. This coaster is fun and a testament of just how much better B&M has gotten in designing its hypercoasters. It also gives a great night ride because of how pitch black it gets back there. So, let us know in the comments if you have ridden Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and if so, what do you think about it? How does it stack up to the later B&M hypercoasters out there? If you enjoyed this video and are new to the channel, please like and subscribe as it greatly helps the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And stay tuned for more coaster reviews and amusement park content from Coaster Adventures. And we hope to see you in the next one.